welcome to Influencer, our series of conversations with the world's thought leaders, the people creating the trends that we are all talking about. You probably know him for his time spent on the basketball court leading the Los Angeles Lakers to 3 championships, but now Rick Fox is taking his talents online, launching an original web series on YouTube called Hysteria. And now he's joining us live. Rick! Thanks so much for being here.
So, Doc.
On the social media therapy couch.
Thanks, Cheryl, but I need to know this lockout thing with the NBA. Tell me this is not going to go on much longer.
Oh, well, I think you need to tell me a bit more about that later in the show. Well, should we get right into that question?
Yeah, sure. Because I know it's on some people's minds.
I know, that was a big deal last night. We were also surprised when we heard the news. 2 weeks. The season is off, it's still in lockout time. What was your reaction?
Well, I personally saw it coming in the sense that I've gone through it.
Yeah.
Back in 1999, we were locked out for about 3 months, I think it was. We started the season in January. Later on in the season, played about 50 games. So we still got some basketball in. I think they're a lot further apart than I think the fans hoped they were.
Yeah.
And so that's why you see the first 2 weeks of the season canceled.
What are the players going through right now?
Well, they're probably conscious right now for the first time they're going to be losing some money.
Yeah.
Some people a lot of money. Some guys, they make 10, 12, 15 million dollars a year, and so per game that's that can be anywhere from $300,000 to $400,000. So they're probably, I wouldn't say pinching pennies, but they're being more conscious about how they're spending their time and their money.
Do you text your friends? You're like, dude, it's going to be okay? Do you text or send messages to anyone?
I do. I'm not worried about them. I'm worried that they can keep that resolve going for a full year, which they may need to get the deal they want. That's unfortunate for basketball. It's unfortunate for fans because no one wants to see this go on any longer than it has.
Yeah, and we actually had a Facebook question from Mark D. Stein who asked, what did Rick do during the lockout at the end of the 90s to stay optimistic during labor negotiations? I'd imagine a lot of players are on the edge at the moment with the possibility of a canceled season.
I was a player rep,
yeah.
So I was a part of the negotiations. So I was in New York most of the time, and it was actually at that point that I met my wife back then, now ex-wife. But if it wasn't for that time, I wouldn't have got to know her. So I spent most of that time in New York trying to work out the deal, and unfortunately, we as a group caved in later on and got a worse deal than we had gotten if we'd have just signed the deal at the beginning.
Wow. Well, let's move on to what's going on in your life now.
Yeah.
Enough about the past.
It's what's trending.
It's what's trending, Rick.
Group sex is trending, right?
Yeah, that's going to continue along the whole show. It seems to be the inside joke. Well, you're getting into the YouTube game. You have a new web series, Hysteria. Let's talk about that. How did you get started with that? Why did you decide to take on web TV and YouTube?
Well, it started as I've transitioned out of basketball. I've spent about 17 years now in front of the camera. Started back in '94, so I got the experience of being on set as an actor, talking to crew members, talking to directors, writers, and all the gamut. But never had the courage to get behind the camera and actually create and tell stories that I wanted to tell. About 3 years ago, I thought, you know what? It's about that time. I have enough support around me. I have some ideas I want to try and explore production-wise. And so I did that. I made what I would call my film school experience. I made my first movie, supported by a great cast and crew, and this is the result of it. I learned through that experience that distribution is a difficult task, and so instead of giving my movie away, I held on to it for a couple years and then made it into a web series, re-edited it. I have 26 episodes, decided that with the web and social media, it puts the power into the filmmakers' hands, greater power than they may have had in the last 5-6 years, and self-distribute it. And so being that it's October and it's Halloween, I have 26 episodes, one a day, leading up to Halloween, where I can celebrate this filmmaking experience with fans, and I hope they come along and enjoy it.
That's pretty exciting. So this happened you've been working on this project for the past 4 years.
Yeah. Well, it was shot about 1.5 years, 4 years ago, and for the last 3 years, looking for distribution and refusing to, like you say, just give it away. As a first-time filmmaker, if you're not making films on a consistent basis, the buyers tend to know that, so they can lowball you and they try to get a steal. And I decided to hold on to it. I didn't need the quick sale, and I could be patient, and I decided to find ways to distribute it on my own, but at the same time, make it educational for those that also want to do that, also want to make films.
And you're doing that by also having video blogs.
Right, yeah. Now that's the one thing that's been most difficult, talking.
Oh, really?
For me, just getting comfortable sharing the intimate side of that journey, because it wasn't an easy journey. It was one that had pitfalls that I'm going to share. Getting just comfortable opening up about that, because I'm not only speaking for myself, I'm speaking for the work of a ton of other cast and crew members that we're proud of. We're proud of it, and so I want to be conscious that I represent that respectfully.
And so it's obviously a horror web series. What is it about? Give people a little inside look.
Well, one of the things I read and studied and talked to many filmmakers about over the last 10 years leading up to making this choice was, as a first-time filmmaker, you want to find a single location. Horror is the one genre that seems to translate internationally, so it gives you a shot to actually make your money back if you can get it sold. And so I basically, in retirement, took the house that I was about to sell, found a story that took 6 people and locked them in a house and have terror ensue. It was a high school 10-year reunion where people come back and things go awry. And so this was Hysteria.
Now, you're becoming a familiar face in the web TV world. We met at South by Southwest. Now you're developing a lot of projects online. Let's talk about what the future holds for you online.
Well, I'm as excited. I mean, my daughter has recently inspired me to start my own channel. She has one. She's a 12-year-old filmmaker. So I'm impressed by the fact that she edits, directs, casts her friends, and actually reenacts music videos, movies. She did
YouTube
Alice in Wonder.
culture.
It's the YouTube culture, exactly. When talking to my son and my daughters, it's where they watch their content. And knowing that, I say, well, why not continue to strive to have a voice, create content, tell stories, which I've been doing, and build it in a fashion that you turn around and someday, like Ed Burns, who sells his movies through his online presence, and other individuals that create content, you can have a channel at the end of the day yourself. And so this is where I've jumped off. I still act on television, I still make movies, but this is my baby. This is my joy and passion. It's where I've placed my energy, and it's where I'm going to explore my voice and pull others that believe that this is a wave that people are going to watch content in the future.
What are we going to discover about Rick Fox on this channel and through your video blogs and Twitter and everything?
Oh, that he doesn't play basketball anymore.
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
the
really?
one thing.
You and Liza don't play basketball?
Not unfortunately, not competitively.
You don't teach her any moves?
We go every once in a while and we shoot around, but filmmaking has been my second career now. So you'll find that I have a production company. You'll find that I make content. I sell television and movies. I also create web series.
You're Canadian.
I'm Canadian, which a lot of people know. So I'm hoping to head up to Canada in the near future and make content through Canadian funds as a Canadian producer, and then bring them back here through the world. And so that's what you're going to learn. You're going to learn that I'm a filmmaker full time.
Wow, that's a big transition. And now you are also big on Twitter. You've gone big. You and Eliza, both of you.
Yeah, I'm losing that battle, though. Maybe you can help me with this.
Right.
I mean, she has like 1 million followers, and I'm a competitive guy. So yeah, in a relationship, I have no relationship power. There's no equality in the household right now, and that's a problem, I think. So I need the guys out there that want to see a guy like me raise the equality level in the household.
Yeah, we need to start a What's Trending competition. Get Eliza here, get you here, and battle it out on What's Trending.
I got 113,000 followers.
Did she start before you? Did she
No,
teach you?
I introduced her to it.
Oh, really?
So this is, she obviously was smart to stay with it. She called up, I think it was Kevin Smith, within the first weekend. We were at the upfronts in New York in May, and I said, hey, babe, you got to check out this Twitter. This was 2009, and I was late at that point, but hey, you got to check this out. And she went on, and I was like, I got to go do this interview for the game. I'll be right back, okay? By the time I came back to the hotel room 3 hours later, she'd called Kevin James, and she had 17,000 followers, because he obviously blasted her to his million followers. I said, I had like 700 at the time. I was like, what happened? Like, what just happened? And so ever since then, I've been playing catch up. And
friendly competition.
Yeah, friendly competition. But I hope to eventually start to at least creep closer so that I won't have to wash the dishes every night.
And we also talked about this, being in a relationship in this web, digitally connected world, and what that's like for you too.
Yeah, well, it's why I'm behind. because I can tell you a quick story. I was about a month into Twitter, and I was leading the charge before I introduced Eliza, and I told my friends that I was going to Africa. And I was going with Eliza and her mom on a social economic tour with some students, and I said, "Hey guys, help me make a list of things that I should take." And so, you know, people started, take malaria pills. Okay, I retweeted, take malaria pills. So, okay, I said, take some, you know, photos, take some extra socks, take some condoms. It's like, take condoms, check. Take more condoms. Okay, take more condoms, check. And so, take a lot more condoms. Okay, take a lot more condoms, check. So she was following me, and she just got, and this was like 3 months into our relationship. So she was like, "What are you doing? What if my mom is reading this?" I thought,
or about everyone else reading it?
Oh no! And so I had to learn a little bit about that margin of how much you put out there in your relationship versus how much you keep to yourself. So that kind of put me on froze. I'm going to lose this girl I'm really into over Twitter, and I don't know if it's worth it.
Oh, well, speaking of Twitter, you can follow Rick Fox at Rick A. Fox online.
And the A is for my middle name.
Yeah, that's interesting. You couldn't get the Rick Fox?
Yeah, no, I couldn't. So I had to put the A in there.
And thank you for your insights. I look forward to seeing what else you do in the web world. And thanks for those relationship tips.
Yeah, that's, trust me. Don't retweet the condom thing.
Don't retweet that. And check out Hysteria, youtube.com/RickFoxTV. Thank you, man. It was fun.